Ladies and gentlemen, the next contest in this Frank Warren promotion, sponsored by Lottery Finance and Investments, is a super featherweight contest made at 9 stone. 6 rounds, 2 minutes each round. In the red corner, wearing red and white trousers from
the London debut of Mark Tibbs against Shane Tonks from Aldershot, and you would have to say Tibbs must be going for his first stoppage. Got his professional career going in Norwich just 8 days ago with an impressive points victory over the Welshman Mike Chapman, and my early impressions of Shane Tonks are not good, I would have to say. 6 pounds heavier, most of that round his waist. And I think we would expect Mark Tibbs, who's in good condition and is just really following on the success of his first fight, to end this pretty smartly. Although you have to say that Shane Tonks is the more experienced fighter of the two. That would probably be about all he's got going for him. There's a good right cross coming in early on from Shane Tonks. Tibbs having an early look at his opponent. Gone in the opening round. It's very tense before his first fight in Norwich. Tibbs, he's saying beforehand he felt a lot more relaxed about this one. And I would think Jim Watt, former world champion, watching him for the first time, and might just be interested to have your earliest impressions, Jim.
Yeah, well, I've heard some nice stories about Mark in his amateur days. Nice boxer, and probably with maturity. Well, that was more of a, it was a punch, knocked him over, but I think it was more of a tumble. I don't think it was a good shot. But yeah, I think as Mark goes along, a bit more power. See, that's another right hand he's taken from Tonks. Tonks, as you said earlier, doesn't look in the best of shape, but he's certainly trying to have a go. There's a couple of good right hands he's landed.
Tibbs lands a right hand of his own as this round comes to a lively conclusion, but a worrying right-hander that Tibbs stopped there. And he's now getting to work behind that left jab again. And because Tonks is that bit heavier, it's going to be dangerous for him if he gets caught like that. Into the first round. Dad Jimmy, of course, in the corner. Such a promising fighter, Mark Tibbs. And here's the knockdown, and I think it's a good shot downstairs, and Jim Watt probably got it right to say that it was more of a slip. And his bulk just carried him down, Shane Tonks. But Tonks might have got a bit more than we credit him for, and that was a decent shot, and the legs just wobbled slightly, and it skimmed away across Tibbs's face. And Shane Tonks, whose record isn't terribly impressive, you have to say, lost his first 3 professional fights. He's got that weight advantage, though, and he's shown he can be dangerous with the right hand as well. Second round then, the squatter Shane Tonks from Aldershot. Second of a scheduled 6-rounder. Tibbs was just a little bit to do in only his second professional fight. He's a bit upright. There's still 1 or 2 of the amateur edges that they're going to have to knock off him. But nothing would delight him more than to produce an impressive stoppage in this famous fighting venue, Bethnal Green. Getting through well, and certainly whenever he does get through, Tonks wobbles. Referee Tony Walker advantage of things, and that really is Tonks' only attacking move, is that lunging right hand, and I would like to think that Tibbs, having been stung by that, won't get caught again. Must feel his supporters willing Tibbs to do something special. Bit of a clash of heads there, and spotted by the referee as well. Second round on his debut, he had his opponent down, and Mike Chapman recovered to stay the distance with him. In boxing, almost since he could walk, Mark Tibbs. Trouble with 2-minute rounds, Jim, what, you just ran out of time, don't you, when you're starting to warm up?
Yeah, just when the better of the two is beginning to land some punches, the bell breaks the rhythm. But Tibbs is applying some good pressure, good steady pressure. He's picking his punches, he's not making too many mistakes. He just has to step in a little bit closer. So another good shot from Tibbs. If he would just step in with those punches, we might see a better effect.
End of the second round, and a good flourish at the end from Mark Tibbs. 6 pounds lighter, don't forget, and that means he's really going to have to sting Shane Tonks accurately with that right hand. And that's a nice quiet corner working there. And he got the punch through. But there it was, and Tonks just that little bit heavier and that bit steadier, and almost waded through it. And that's a worrying sign, and a sign that it might go longer than we originally thought. Tibbs and Bernie Fossey working the corner of Mark Tibbs, a real East End gathering.
Set out, round 3.
Third of 6 rounds then, and just looking at Shane Tonks, it looks they might just be starting to fancy the job a bit, because he's taken one of the hardest punches that Tibbs can throw, Jim, and he obviously might be feeling that Tibbs can't hurt him too much.
Yeah, well, quite a bit of Tibbs' work is just slightly out of range. He's not really getting his shoulder into the punches. I think once Mark starts moving in that little bit closer, moving in behind the punches, I think he just wants to settle down some nice boxing. He's not taking any chances, but he needs that little bit more power. He has to step in with the punches.
That's a good shot. Just about got the distance there, and Tonks was smartly away from the ropes. There are, as I was saying, pictures of Tibbs around the gymnasium of West Ham Club. John H. Tracy when he was just a little lad, really. He's grown up with the smell of the ring and boxing around him, and always was going to turn out a fighter, and it's just, we wonder how far he can go. Only his second professional contest, remember, and this is a good round from him. Probably, at the moment, his most impressive, I feel. Tibbs getting through a bit more now, Jim.
Yeah, this is good boxing from Tibbs. Sometimes we find we're a little bit too critical of boys who turn pro, you know, maybe famous fighting families. We think they should be looking at world champions straight away. But he's doing everything right. He's not taking too many punches, he's not taking chances, he's staying in control, good pressure, landing good punches. A little bit more power would help, but that may come as maturity comes.
Good round for Mark Tibbs. Well in shape for this contest. He's got to be allowed to find his feet. Certainly they're not feeding him easy opponents, because appearances can be misleading. And he's got a more experienced and a heavier man opposite him. And it's going to be a tough fight to get control of, although I still feel that Tonks is vulnerable, although he's getting on his bike and moving at the least hint of danger. for the Camberley Amateur Club. Shane Tonks, debut a couple of years ago, beaten by Jeff Dobson, and fought overseas in March, outpointed by Lee Amass over in Portugal.
Round 4.
So Mark Tibbs, in the distinctive claret and blue of West Ham, has got better and better in this fight against a heavier and more experienced opponent, Shane Tonks from Aldershot. Got through well. Tonks has been ruffled probably, but not badly hurt. And in the scheduled 6th rounder, we just wonder if Mark Tibbs can have his first stoppage as a professional. Just 1 points victory to his credit so far. Heads clashing together again, and Tibbs getting a bit of joy with the overhand right. Tonks coming back solidly with what is undoubtedly his best punch. Little clubbing right off the ropes. His opponent, Jim Tonks, is not everyone's idea of the ideal fighting shape, but he's one of these who's a difficult fellow to budge away, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's obviously determined, he's strong enough, and he's got himself in shape. Although he doesn't look in the best of shape, he's stuck with the pace all the way through. He's been under pressure, but he's never gone under with that pressure.
Once again, Tibbs trying his luck with the overhand right, and Tonks just inside it. Again, a little word from referee Tony Walker about use of the head. It's another good learning fight, this one, for Tibbs.
Tonks is pulling a few faces now. I don't know, maybe if he's just losing his desire a little bit. He was pulling some faces after that good right hand from Tibbs. Maybe if Tibbs steps up the pace here, puts some punches together, he might get him out of there.
Just 2-minute rounds, these. Tibbs only 19. And the pace might just be starting to tell a bit on his opponent. Although he shakes his head, and he'll be glad the stool's right behind him for him to flop on, Shane Tonks. Tonks, is he getting a bit dispirited there? Just a couple of rounds to go. He's certainly behind on points. Little smile from him, though, so he's still quite happy to be there. And Tibbs, who had a good 3rd round, couldn't quite sustain the pace and the pressure in this 4th round. But there was a definite period as the heads went together there a bit when Tonks was starting to look a bit dispirited. And those were Tibbs' best moments from this 4th round. Good piece of action now. They might just be trying to stir him for a little flourish in the last couple of rounds. 5th round then, looking at the super featherweights, around about the 9'4", 9'6" mark, although Shane Tonks has come in at a little under 10 stone, and that's quite a sizable weight advantage to have at this level. Tibbs from West Ham, obviously the better stylist, and obviously taking this game a lot more seriously. He still could have trouble against an opponent with that weight advantage. He's certainly finishing this fight pretty well, Tibbs. He's a very fit boy, hard worker. Quite a lot of reaction after his debut in Norwich, and he's getting through pretty well in this 5th round, although it's hard to look good against an awkward opponent like Tonks, and I think that's almost his last warning for use of the head. Wouldn't like to see him thrown out of this fight, though, Jim. I don't think he's used it that blatantly, do you?
No, I think that was a little bit of head and pulling Tibbs on at the same time. Just a little bit untied. I don't think he's on the verge of being disqualified. I don't think he's been that blatant with it. I'd like now maybe to see Tonks try to drive himself forward a little bit, just to see how Tibbs would cope with that. But Tibbs has backed him up all the way through. Good performance from Tibbs so far. And
Tonks really using every inch of this Bethnal Green ring to try and get away from Tibbs. Very much the hunter, Mark Tibbs, but once again he's going to go the full 6 rounds. And I like the way he finishes the round so strongly. Stern bit of pointing from Dad Jimmy. What do you think of that, Jim, having your father in the corner? Difficult for both, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but thankfully Tibbs Senior is very experienced, and he knows what's required. I suppose it must be a bit strange. Sometimes you want away from your family when you get into the boxing ring. He's taking his dad with him.
Let's just check this out where the heads went together, and there was a bit of pulling on by Tonks as well. Yes, it was all a bit got very messy in there, and referee Tony Walker sorted it all out. Good performance though by Tonks to go the distance.
Seconds out, 6th and last round.
So, last round for Mark Tibbs, only his 2nd fight. He's been a busy fella, 2 fights in 8 days as he tries to make an impact on the professional scene. And he won the first one on points, and Shane Tonks, who was obviously behind by some distance, needs to knock out one of those big right hands. Has been another difficult opponent for him, and a good learning opponent as well. Tonks a bit careless with use of the head again. And Tibbs hasn't taken any risks. He's boxed sensibly. Tonks down once, more from a slip than for a punch earlier in the fight. And he's been quite content to let the lighter Mark Tibbs chase him around the ring, hunt him, feeling that he probably couldn't hurt him because of a very sizable weight advantage. Those right hands are dangerous, and that, if there is a blatant weakness, Jim, what that is a weakness. I think that's about the 3rd or 4th time he's been caught by those Tibbs.
Yeah, I think he's been so firm in control that you've got to expect now and again Tonks to come back with a punch. I mean, we'd be criticising Tonks if he wasn't managing something. But Tibbs has been so much in control, maybe once or twice, just a little lapse of concentration. But it wasn't troubled. That was a good solid shot, and it didn't trouble Tibbs in the slightest. So that tells us something else about him.
Yes, early indications that he's got a very firm and solid chin. Just sum it up for us then, Jim, Mark Tibbs' performance.
Yeah, a good steady performance there from Tibbs there, rather than dramatic. Nothing really dramatic happened in the fight, but he's always been under control. Boxed well all the way through, not too many mistakes, and a clear-cut, convincing points victory.
He's okay, boxed on, and he's allowed to stay the course. There's only a few more seconds to survive, and I'm glad for Tonks that he stayed the distance. And good spirit at the end there between the two fighters. That's nice stuff. It's an absolutely certain points victory, of course, for Mark Tibbs, who had his arms up and was taking the applause of the crowd before the formality of referee Tony Walker going over to him. If he'd have got that knockdown 30 seconds earlier, I get the impression he might have finished the fight inside the distance as well. And as we were talking about another certain points victory, he saved a very solid couple of body shots that really hurt Shane Tonks at the end. A fine finish from Mark Tibbs, and he can be very satisfied with his first 8 days as a pro. 2 out of 2.
Ladies and gentlemen.